Northwest Georgia. Welcome to Year Weather on North Georgia Television. Today we will have mostly sunny skies with the possibility of stray showers or thunderstorms in the evening, a high of 94 and a low of 71. And now for a look around the region. Calhoun, 74 this morning with a midday temp of 88 and an overall high of 91. Chatsworth, starting at 74 this morning with an 88 at noon and an afternoon high of 93. Chickamauga, 76 with sunshine and mixed clouds, 88 around noon and the high of 92. Cajeta, temperature at 74 with a midday temp of 87 and a high of 92 and partly cloudy skies. Dalton, starting at 74, 88 by noon with a high of 93. Fairmount, 71 this morning with a midday temp of 88 and an afternoon high of 92. Port Oglethorpe, 76 and mostly sunny, midday at 88 and a high of 92. Lafayette has 75 for this morning, 87 by noon, and 92 is the expected high. Ringgold, starting today at 75 with a midday temp of 88 and an afternoon high of 92. And now for your 7-day forecast. Wednesday, partly cloudy with temperatures in the 90s, winds light and variable. Thursday, partly cloudy in the morning followed by scattered thunderstorms in the evening with a high of 94. Friday, variable clouds, scattered showers and thunderstorms, a high of 93 with winds light and variable. Saturday, mixed clouds and sun with scattered thunderstorms and a high of 90. Sunday, variable clouds and scattered thunderstorms, high of 89 with a 50% chance of rain. Monday, scattered showers and thunderstorms, a high near 90 with 40% chance of rain. And next Tuesday, mostly sunny and clear skies with a high of 91. And that is your weather forecast. Whatever the weather, North Georgia Television hopes you have a blessed and beautiful day. Now for the local obituaries. Miss Mary Anita Tinson Shropshire, age 78. Miss Mary Shropshire of Rocky Face, Georgia, passed away Thursday, June 27th. Homegoing celebration will be on Wednesday, July 3rd at 11 a.m. at the chapel with Brother Marty Green as eulogist and Reverend Eugene Miller, predecessor. She will lie in the state at the funeral home on Tuesday after 12 noon. Interment at Chattanooga National Cemetery at 2 p.m. Arrangements are by Willis Funeral Home in Dalton, Georgia. Miss Maddie Elizabeth Liz Hood Worley, age 67. Maddie Liz Worley of Dalton departed this life Saturday, June 29th at Quinton Memorial Health Care Center in Dalton. Services to celebrate the life of Maddie Elizabeth will be held on Tuesday, July 2nd at 1 p.m. at Ponders Moas Chapel with Reverend Wayne Ovenby, Reverend Hugh Burden officiating. She will be laid to rest at Ponders Colonial Hills Memorial Park. Mr. Charles William Beavers, age 82. Charles Beavers of Chatsworth passed away on June 27th, Advent Murray Hospital. Funeral service of Mr. Beavers will be on Tuesday, July 2nd at 2 p.m. at the chapel of Sean Chapman Funeral Home. Anne Schlinzer, age 76. Anne Schlinzer of Dalton passed away Friday, June 28th at her residence. A memorial service will be held Tuesday, July 2nd at 1 p.m. at the Pleasant Grove Chapel of Julian Peoples Funeral Home. The family will receive friends at the funeral home on Tuesday from 12 until the service. Sonoya Deloise Brown, age 72. Sonoya Brown of Ringgold went home to be with her Lord and Savior Jesus on Wednesday, June 26th. Funeral service will be held at 1 p.m. Tuesday at the Funeral Home Chapel. Interment will be at Chattanooga National Cemetery. Family will see friends 10 to 1 p.m. Tuesday at Heritage Funeral Home and Crematory, Battlefield Parkway. Mr. Cameron Johnson, age 56. Mr. Cameron Johnson of Rocky Face passed away on Saturday, June 29th. Funeral arrangements will be announced at a later date by Willis Funeral Home. Elizabeth Betsy Elaine Clark, age 76. Elizabeth Betsy Clark of Fort Oglethorpe passed away June 29th. Funeral service will be held at 3 p.m. Tuesday with Brother Bill Owens and Suzanne Holder officiating. Embalmment will be at Tennessee Georgia Memorial Park. The family will receive friends 1 to 3 p.m. Tuesday at Heritage Funeral Home, Battlefield Parkway. Miss Beatrice Lily Burgess, age 88. Beatrice Burgess of Dalton departed this life Sunday morning, June 30th, at the local hospital. Arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by Ponders Millis Chapel of Dalton, Georgia. Miss Christine Ellen Goforth, age 71. Christine Goforth of Dalton departed this life Sunday morning, June 30th. Arrangements are incomplete and will be announced later by Ponders Millis Chapel of Dalton, Georgia. Miss Kay Loretta Kennedy, age 64. Kay Kennedy of Calhoun passed away on Sunday, June 30th. Funeral arrangements will be announced later by Willis Funeral Home, Dalton, Georgia. And those are your local obituaries. Stay tuned for your local news.
Scott.
And I'm Aaron Scott.
Good morning, Northwest Georgia, where your news covering Whitfield, Murray, Gordon, Walker, and Catoosa counties. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the news today, Georgia may be a majority-minority state within a decade. Jimmy Carter weighs in on Trump, offers for adoption, even college money. For baby India, feds warn possible domestic terror attack on July 4th. Gone with the Wind mansion hits the auction block. Doctors warn against sunburn tattoos. DSC summer camp gives teacher candidates experience. Helps children with literacy and upcoming area events.
First up, death and taxes claim most of the attention when it comes to certainty, but change too is a constant, and it's underway in Georgia, reported the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. New data from the U.S. Census Bureau shows that the state could be just 9 years away from majority-minority status. The white non-Latina share of Georgia's population has dropped 3.2% points since 2010 to 54.1%. At this rate, whites would no longer be in the majority by about 2028. The three biggest factors behind the change have been declining birth rates amongst whites, the return of African Americans who had left the South, and decades of legal immigrations. Black non-Latino Americans saw the biggest part of the gain amongst minorities at 1.9%. Asians accounted for a 0.9% gain, as did Latinos of all races.
Here are some other notable findings from the Census Bureau. In Forsyth County, non-whites have seen their share of the population grow from 18.7% in 2010 to 28.3% in the Census Bureau's latest estimate. That could have big implications in the next year's race in the 7th Congressional District, which covers parts of Forsyth and Gwinnett counties. Demographic changes in Gwinnett have already made political impact. Voters from the one-time Republican stronghold favored Democrat Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential election. They also helped make last year's 7th District contest the closest U.S. House race in the nation, decided by only 433 votes. Conservatives have counted on winning big in Forsyth to hold off Democratic challengers, but the ground could be shifting underneath them in Cumming and other parts of the country. Forsyth is also one of 4 Georgia counties to place among the top 10 in the U.S. for rapid changes in their white/minority mix since 2010. The others are Douglas, Henry, and Rockdale. Henry's non-white share of the population has grown 10 percentage points.
At 89%, Clayton County is now among the top 20 counties in the U.S. for minority population. Fannin County in North Georgia is the state's whitest county, but minorities have seen their share of Fannin's population growth by 2.9% in 2010 to 4.4% now. Chatham County thinks Savannah crossed over the line into majority-minority territory in the past year. Non-white, non-Latino residents now account for 50.1% of Chatham's population, up from 49.7% last year.
This is always good to know, and you want to throw something crazy out there. You have to think in the next 500 or 1,000 years, is there even going to be any white people left?
I mean, you never really know.
I mean, I personally don't think there will be, because we're so integrated culturally, like everything is coming together. We're all coming together as really better people in general. But I mean, just skin color wise, you have to think in a certain amount of time, this white pigment will dissipate.
Exactly that.
That's a fact. Interesting. Next up, our next story has a former president throwing shade at one current president. Jimmy Carter said Friday he believes President Donald Trump would have lost the 2016 election without Russian help. The former president also sharply criticized Trump's policies on the U.S.-Mexico border, calling them disgraceful, and accusing Trump of ordering the torture and kidnapping of children. The pointed comments came as Trump met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Japan at the Group of 20 summit. The first and special counsel Robert Mueller detained alleged Russian efforts to sway the 2016 presidential vote in Trump's favor. Here's what he said. There's no doubt that the Russians did interfere in the election, and I think the interference, although not yet quantified, if fully investigated, would show that Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election he was put in office because the Russians interfered on his behalf. Speaking in Leesburg, Virginia, at the Carter Center's annual retreat, the 39th president was then asked by moderator John Meekman, a historian, if Trump was a legitimate president. Carter paused and smiled before replying, based on what I just said, which I can't retract, I would say yes. Carter and his former vice president, Walter Mondale, who ran the country from 1977 until 1981, sat side by side on stage during a panel discussion on human rights. Neither minced words. Mondale called Trump detestable.
Trump repeatedly has disputed U.S. intelligence authorities' assessments that the Kremlin interfered in the U.S. election and has called the Mueller probe a witch hunt. The Republican president also has defended his crackdown on asylum seekers at the Mexican border, blaming Democrats for the growing humanitarian crisis. Carter, a Democrat, blamed Trump for the worsening conditions at the border, including the detained migrant children from Mexico and Central Americas. Carter's comments Friday represent his most critical yet about Russia's role in the 2016 vote. In October of 2017, in an interview with the New York Times, Carter questioned whether Russia's attempt to interfere in the election changed enough votes or any votes to matter. In Japan on Friday, asked by a reporter if he would warn Putin not to interfere in the 2020 election, a grinning Trump pointed his finger at Putin and said, "Don't meddle in the election, President." Earlier this month, Carter said Trump made the correct call by not taking military action against Iran. Carter also praised Trump for meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to try to avoid war. He had harsh words for Trump's policies last September when he was asked at Emory University what he would do if he became president again. I think the first thing I would do would be to change all of the policies that President Trump has initiated, Carter said. Carter doubled down Friday when he asked by Meckham what Democrats running for office in 2020 should be immediately if elected, saying, I go with the participation of the Democratic candidate debates have said. Almost all say they would immediately revoke orders on borders, re-enter Paris Accords, and preventing global warming and participate with other countries. These are all things that can be done with an executive order. Carter would not comment on whom he's bringing backing for 2020. It was way too early, he said, but if someone who could beat Trump, he would love that. And you know, these guys are always going at each other's throats. It's just the life of a politician.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's crazy because if you're not familiar with the definition of a politician, you should look it up. That's interesting in itself. But yeah, I mean, these guys really, they're at each other's throat. I don't really understand that. I don't understand why it's so hard to agree to disagree. We can still live peacefully.
Integration through a sign.
That's a fact. Next up, she's only 3 weeks old, but she's already captured the hearts of people over the country. Hundreds have offered to adopt baby India, the little girl found abandoned in Forsyth County within hours of her birth. Others have offered to supply baby food and even pay for her college, according to Georgia's Division of Family and Children's Services. DFCS Director Tom Rowling said the offers have come from far away as Canada. Media reports showing the tiny baby have generated massive interest in the case. While wonderful, Rowling said, this never had to happen. Georgia's safe haven law allows for parents to turn over a newborn within 30 days if they are unable to care for the child. The baby must be handed to someone at a police or fire station or hospital, but parents do not have to provide their names. But DFCS members show it's rare that parents in a crisis take advantage of the law. India was left in a plastic bag in the woods on June 6th, and her cries alerted a nearby family who called 911. The offers of help for India are heartwarming, Rawlings said, but there is already a waiting list of approximately 200 people in Georgia hoping to adopt babies through DFCS. Plus, there are countless older children in the state system hoping for adoption. In 2018, DFCS was involved in 1,200 adoptions, Rawlings said. Baby India's story is one of many involving children left behind. Rawlings is hopeful this case will remind others that countless children are in need.
Next up, federal authorities are warning that political radicals may attack people celebrating on July 4th. A bulletin to law enforcement around the country states that domestic terrorists have attacked perceived oppressors, opponents, or enemies engaged in outdoor First Amendment protected rallies or protests during the past summers. The warning comes from a joint intelligence bulletin issued by the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and National Counterterrorism Center, telling law enforcement to remain vigilant for suspicious activity. The bulletin said that the FBI, DHS, and NCTC remain concerned that they could target upcoming Independence Day celebrations, gatherings, or parades, though they are unaware of the current plot specifically targeting such events. The bulletin noted that the attack can occur with little to no warning because of the frequently lower levels of security around civilian targets, challenges in the securing large crowds, and calls for attacks against soft targets. Both domestic and homegrown terrorists likely would use a simplistic tactics and relatively easily obtainable weapons such as firearms, knives, and vehicles. Although some violent extremists have historically sought to use explosive devices, federal authorities said the bulletin also warns that ISIS has renewed calls for sympathizers to launch attacks inside the United States.
The FBI is currently tracking about 1,000 suspected homegrown terrorists inside the United States inspired by foreign terroristic organizations. A senior FBI official recently testified to Congress. The official also said the FBI currently investigating about 850 suspected domestic terrorists. Officials said the agency has seen a large increase in domestic terrorism investigations involving white supremacists since last year. In fact, there have been more arrests and deaths in the United States caused by domestic terrorists than international terrorists in the recent years, shared the head of the FBI's Counterterrorism Division, Assistant Director Michael McGarity. The bulletin issued Wednesday mentioned the case of James Fields, who in 2017 drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters at the Unite to the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, killing a woman and injuring scores of others. Asked about the new bulletin, an FBI spokesman said in a statement, the FBI regularly assesses intelligence regarding possible threats to the U.S. and will continue to work closely with our federal, state, and local enforcement partners should there be any potential threat to public safety. We ask members of the public to maintain their awareness of their surroundings and to report any suspicious activity to law enforcement immediately.
Do stay safe out there on the 4th. If you're interested in owning one of the most famous historic mansions in the United States, you could be in luck. Built in 1836, the 12 Oaks Mansion in Covington will hit the auction block this week. This distinctly southern property was chosen by author Margaret Mitchell as the model for 12 Oaks in the 1939 movie version of Gone with the Wind. A private home early on, and more recently served as an award-winning bed and breakfast, event venue, tourist destination, and stunning backdrop for over 50 movies. It completed a $2 million renovation in 2017 with more than 10,000 square feet. This 12-bedroom, 12.5 bath also offers a grand dining room, formal parlor, informal dining and living spaces, and chef's dream kitchen. Other features include hardwood floors, period lighting, 11-foot ceilings, and 12 fireplaces modernized with remote controls. Operating permits for B&B and event venue and historical tourist site are already in place, and the property receives movie and TV contracts each year. Bidding begins July 4th and goes through July 25th. For more information, visit www.targetauction.com. And honestly, this sounds like an investment to me.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome.
That's absolutely cool. Next up, a summertime trend called sunburn tattoos has experts voicing their concern. They're all over social media. People are putting stickers on their skin, then they lay out in the sun without sunscreen. After you burn and take the stencil off, left behind is an outline known as the sunburn tattoo. Might be getting lots of likes on social media, but medical professionals say the long-term health effects are not worth the short-term internet fame. Julie Emery, nurse practitioner with Fort Mill Family Practice, said people often forget that their skin is the largest organ in the body, and that most would never think of doing anything like that to their heart or lungs, so they should understand doing it to their skin is just as dangerous. Emery says social media tends to perpetuate fads that are not good for you. She warned that burning your skin on purpose could cause life-threatening issues later. And that's the truth, actually.
No, and that's really crazy. I personally haven't seen anybody do this yet myself, but it's very different.
Very.
More than 80 Dalton State teacher candidates are gaining experience in the classroom while spending their summer helping school-age children improve literacy skills. In an effort to fight the summer slide, Dalton State School of Education partners with 4 elementary schools in the Whitfield County School System to run literacy camps for children in kindergarten through middle school. The summer slide, or summer slump, is where students forget some of the material they learned during the previous school year. Teacher candidates are running the camps under the direction of Dr. Jacqueline Mesko, an assistant professor at education. They spend 2 weeks making lesson plans and preparing for the camps, then 8 days working with students in a classroom setting. Teacher candidates have hundreds of hours of classroom experience before graduating, but the camp gives them a more authentic place to design and teach lessons. Mesko said this is the 3rd year of camp, and this summer it has expanded from Dugap Elementary and Eastside Elementary to also including Donsville Elementary, Cedar Ridge Elementary. The camp is paid for through a portion of the state literacy grant. Community involvement is important for teacher candidates. Teacher candidates are getting to know the local community and the children and families who live here. They're also working on one of the schools in the area, and this is awesome. I think personally, I wish they had something like this when we were in school.
Yeah, that's a fact. I think that'd help a lot of people.
Could have.
And now, other upcoming area events and bulletins. The ACT Children's Theater Camp will be the week after the 4th, July 8th. The 12th, you may register your child online at actdalton.org or print out a form to send with them on July 8th, along with their $100 registration fee. ACT is located at 907 Gaston Street in Dalton. In Rome, hear live music from local singers and songwriters while you enjoy your lunch under a beautiful sky. Grab some friends, some lunch, and go on down to the Brown Bag Concert Series every 3rd Tuesday at Rotary Plaza from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. After that, sponsored by the Mohawk Carpet Foundation, the Gym Theater in Calhoun is offering free movies each Thursday, 10 a.m. through July 18th. Although there will be no movie on July 4th, the remaining lineup is as follows. July 11th, Smallfoot. July 18th, The Lego Movie. The gym is located at 114 North Wall Street in historic downtown Calhoun.
Then we have the town of Cohutta, and the city of Arnell will host a fireworks show on July 4th. There will be live music, food vendors, face paintings, and more fun. Fun starts at 4 p.m. and the fireworks show will start at approximately 9:30 p.m. And then we have an introduction to archery will be offered at the New Echota State Historical Site on July 13th. But it looks like we're running out of time here at Northwest Georgia Television News. I'm Aaron Scott.
And I'm Adam Scott. Remember, guys,
stay classy.
While the word cancer can strike fear at the deepest level of our souls, in the case of skin cancer, the prognosis is very good. Basal cell and squamous cell carcinomas are the most common and are not normally included in cancer statistics.
Our office specializes in the diagnosis and treatment of skin cancer.
If you're concerned about a mole or freckle that may be changing, give us a call. Most treatments can be performed in our office in about 15 minutes with very little discomfort.
I am Ron McKinney, pastor of Kinsey Drive Baptist Church in Dalton, Georgia. KDBC has been the birthplace of several Christian organizations. It was the birthplace of Christian Heritage School 30 years ago, and through the Academy of Fine Arts, Labrie Symphonic Orchestra was founded by KDBC members Gene and Betty Lindauer. The ministry of KDBC reaches around the world with the missions of To Every Tribe Ministry, and I was a founding member of North Georgia Fellowship of Christian Athletes in 1992. Majesty is the longest running television program on North Georgia television. For 28 years, we have faithfully proclaimed the doctrines of grace. Kinsey Drive Baptist Church welcomes you to visit at 2626 Kinsey Drive on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Our website is kinseydrivebaptistchurch.com. To God be all the glory.
I'm Connie Hall Scott, and my show, The Talk with Connie, is right here on North Georgia Television. And I hope you'll join me and my very, very interesting guests as we dish on, well, just about everything. Meet local and regional entertainers, newsmakers, motivators, and all kinds of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Enjoy man-on-the-street interviews, hot topic discussions, and even the occasional game or prank. It's all about community and getting to know each other. My goal is to entertain, educate, and stimulate. So join the talk for a new episode every week.
First Bank of Calhoun and First Bank of Dalton are proud to serve our communities, providing the products you need plus the personal service you expect from your hometown bank. We offer the latest technology, like customized instant-issue debit cards, InstaPay, and more. And with our experienced First Elite bankers, switching to First Bank has never been easier.
Stop by and see what sets us apart.
First Bank of Calhoun and First Bank of Dalton, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf. Help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, eliminate IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now. Find out how we can help you.
Georgia is now a hands-free state. That means you can't have a phone in your hand or supported by your body if you want to talk on your phone while driving. Even with hands-free, text messages, emails, and social media are still against the law. Parking your phone while your car is in drive could save lives, maybe even yours. For more information, go to headsupgeorgia.com.
Hi, welcome to Point of View, North Georgia. I am your host, Connie Hall Scott, and today I am joined by my sons, Adam and Aaron Scott, who you just saw deliver the morning news, and my very special guest, Mario Miller. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, so we'll jump right in. Thank you, Mario, for coming, and boys for staying.
Of course.
We got a lot to talk about. A lot of things are going on, but you know, one of the things that jumped out at me on the front page of the news, this is a story I've been thinking about for a while. It's the 87-year-old woman who was tased in Chatsworth by 2 deputies or police officers. Do y'all know about that? Are y'all familiar with that?
I've read about it, and this is the issue anyway, and all that comes back to is improper training, because if you're scared of an 87-year-old woman, however old she was, there's already an issue, and you probably shouldn't be an officer of a county
Now,
or state.
to their credit, she did have a kitchen knife.
So, can I ask you a question?
No, okay, yes.
So, let's say you personally, you're, you're fine. I mean, you're you, but let's say that there was an 87-year-old woman with a knife. Would you feel intimidated?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, then why would younger men who were trained to be in this situation, what would ever bring them to the point of tasing an 87-year-old woman?
Well, if anybody's curious, they can watch the video because it has been since released. Here's the backstory. She lives across the road from the Boys and Girls Club in Murray County, and apparently she had a kitchen knife, and she was going across the road to cut some dandelions to use for a salad. And apparently, I don't know if somebody called the police or they were happening by or whatever. By the way, she's a Syrian native and can't speak that well of English.
Do you think that had any influence in the way she was treated by the officers?
I do think that it did. And do I think that it was right? No, I don't.
No.
Because I can't fathom, because a taser hurts. First of all, I'm really glad she's alive, because she could have had a heart attack or whatever could have happened. But you know, they did taser, and then just recently, the DA Burt Poston here in Dalton, Whitfield County, said that he wasn't going to formally charge her, and he didn't really have any intentions of doing that anyway. But
That's cool because she has charges to press against him.
and she does.
Exactly right.
She does. There is a civil rights lawsuit being headed up for her and her family by Jeff Dean and Marcus Morris.
Well, she's definitely going to get a great settlement. It just comes down to improper. Yesterday, I got pulled over because an officer said I was on my phone. I wasn't on my phone. My phone was in my center console where it always is. It all comes down to improper training and just negligence of the police here.
Oh, okay. And we're all voicing our own opinions here, and that's what we all have is our own opinions here. Mario, I'm going to let you weigh in.
Well, because I don't know necessarily the gist of the story, I generally try not to make any judgments about it, because I have no idea, what took place and all the ins and outs that took place in that. So I would hope that the right thing will be done, even if a wrong thing was done.
Oh, reap what you sow.
I like that.
That's the whole principle, because none of us are perfect up here.
No,
we
absolutely
all make
not.
silly mistakes and decisions, and even and them taking responsibility is what it's all about.
Exactly right.
Worded perfectly.
Well, and I'm very glad they take responsibility. I will say, though, this might have been a factor, and probably was, the fact that anybody had a knife at a Boys and Girls Club. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and what, I don't know what they thought she was doing. I don't know if they saw her getting the dandelions with the knife or what led to it, but I believe that she was asked several times to, put the knife down and give it up, and she was probably scared.
Yeah, I worked in the mental health field, so I got a whole different process of thoughts that come through my head when I see stuff like that.
Yeah, tell us about it.
So I worked in mental health, and there was one lady in particular that they had to call the police on because she was out trying to say she was going to kill people. And, I mean, she just flipped. So you just don't know what the background of everything is, and until I get all information, I just don't give judgment.
And that's very wise.
So you like to make a psychological evaluation from what you know before going ahead and just, this is
saying like, Aaron, you guys aren't trained.
Well, yeah, because most of the time what we do is we allow our circumstances to actually dictate to what we say, and we have to be aware of that. We have to be careful of not allowing what my current situation is to deem that this is how things is.
Yeah, I love the way you worded that. You must be conscious.
I think the problem here was the language barrier.
And it could have been.
I think that's the issue in this exact case was the language barrier.
It could have been, but there could be like a number of things that because we don't have the privy to understand or know because we weren't there, number one. Number two, at this point, I don't know the story and the details of it. So you just kind of just pray and wait and just hope, you know, and believe that what was wrong can be made right. And,
Exactly.
and that's what we see. There's a lot of stuff, bad things happen to us all. So
Every day.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just now, while you were talking, tried to put myself in the mindset of the 87-year-old woman, and I'm thinking, she's from Syria. Clearly, that's not a very peaceful place to come from. She's over there, she's just trying to get her dandelions for a salad, and suddenly 2 police officers come up, and they're probably excited. I mean, I would think they were excited because she's got a knife, and there's the Boys and Girls Club, and they're saying, put it down. If they're, you know, they're probably not saying, hey, will you put that down? They're saying, put it down, and she's just thinking that she's being, so she's probably holding it, I don't know, probably holding it and like scared. And then they're like, well, she's not putting it down. So what do you do? And then I'm thinking of a mother, if Adam and Aaron were those 2 police officers, and anybody had a knife, would I want them to, and here's probably what they would do, knowing them, you probably would tackle the bottom or something like that. I don't know what you would do, but what would you do? I don't know. But my thing is, I wouldn't want a knife coming down on you.
I would very subtly go up to the woman, not raising my voice by any means, letting her know that it's okay. I definitely wouldn't have pulled out my taser and shot her with it.
I can say this here. We just finished a class here just 2 days ago on QPR. And one of the ladies that was there from Highland Rivers was explaining that we are making sure a lot of the people in our forces are actually getting education.
And they are, I mean, seriously.
So we are in the process of changing some of the paradigms that we've been living from.
That's a fact, seriously.
So some good stuff coming out. You know,
I'm glad.
Fortunate this has happened, but we can learn from it. There's a lot that we can.
Yeah, as a community, even truly.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I mean, I meet a bunch of these younger guys. I mean, I meet them all the time, and they're cool. I mean, they want to understand what you're going through as well, instead of what happened in this situation and just jumping the gun. Like, I've been pulled over a few times. We were pulled over yesterday, and honestly, those cops were pretty cool. You know, they were trying to understand our perspective as well. We didn't get a ticket or anything. I mean, I like those guys. I think they were trained properly. The younger dudes, I mean, seriously.
They're not gonna, I mean, everybody's not gonna make the right decision. And by no means am I saying this was a good or bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the attitude has to be, how can we move forward and do, even if we made a wrong, how we can make it right.
That's a fact. We have to reside in the moment. It's time to move forward.
Huh. I like that point of view. I like all of your points of view, and that's what makes this show so interesting, is we're not going to always agree on everything, and that's okay.
It's okay to agree to disagree. That's how the world should function in the first place.
That's how the world spins.
And you know what? I try to look at it from every angle.
It's good.
But I don't always do so good. I'm thinking if that was my mom, I'd be really, really mad. But, you know, again, like I said.
I can see that because I can look at it and go, if that was my mom, boy, I'd be sure.
Yeah.
But if that was my kids, what would I be thinking?
I'd be thinking bad thoughts.
I mean, that's crazy.
I'd be extra mad.
I mean, but what if we didn't know, you see what I'm saying? We didn't know what this lady was going to do.
No.
And so if my kids were there and they were out and about and so forth, and I seen this.
Oh, you mean if your kids were at the
Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought you meant.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So there's. It's tough.
It is a tough one, and that's why we're talking about it. It's one of those tough things to talk about. And folks, that is our point of view. Stick with us. We'll give you some more in just a minute.
I'm Lori McDaniel, host of The Local Scene. We've all heard it a million times. There's nothing to do around here. Well, The Local Scene exists to prove that statement wrong. We promote events, festivals, fundraisers, and exciting news about what's going on in Northwest Georgia. If you're looking for something to do, tune in. If you've got an event or something special you want to promote on the air, let us know so you can be a guest on the show. Hey, free publicity doesn't grow on trees, you know. If you'd like to be on The Local Scene, please email WDNN at info@WDNNTV.com with the subject line, The Local Scene, or call us at 706-278-9713. Nothing to do. As if.
Hey, welcome back to Point of View. I'm Connie House Scott, and I am joined by Adam and Aaron Scott and my very special guest, Mario Miller.
Thank you.
Mario, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there's a lot going on in my life. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you again for allowing me to be on your show, Miss Connie. And I'm a pastor here in the town, Dalton. It's an honor to be here, and just a wonderful wife, Corinthia. Amazing daughters. I got 3 amazing girls. So just love the city, love my community, and I love to serve. My heart is to serve, to share the heart of the Father, that other people may experience His love, His tremendous great love, because He saved me and delivered me and set me free. Had a very bad past, but yet it's about moving forward in the future and which Father has for me and making an impact in others' lives. So.
I like that. That's what we all need to be doing.
That's what we're here for.
Spread love.
Now, Mario has an article coming up in Good News Magazine, and I think I'm going to ask you, if you will, to read an excerpt from that.
Sure. I'm going to get, it hadn't actually been published yet, and I hadn't sent it to him yet, but this is something.
But that's the goal.
That's the goal, yeah. It's the end game. Yeah, we're moving forward with it, and it's called, What Can You Do to a Free Man? And it says, you can threaten them. You can take their life, you can lie to them, you can enslave them, you can impoverish them, but what can you do to a free man? So what's the difference and what's the point? I must search deep to define my freedom. I can be free in my humanity, or I can be free in my spirituality. If I am enslaved in my spirituality, spirit man, freedom in my humanity is a distant dream. That will ache me and will cause me to fight or even to kill or to remain enslaved and shackled and walk in defeat. Martin Luther King and other freedom fighters was higher than the implosion of rights as human beings, but as spiritual beings. And that's what I believe, that what they came to do was to give us something more. I believe with all my heart that there was a baton that should have been passed off when Martin Luther King actually came into this earth and did what he was able to do, and other freedom fighters and what they done. I believe there should have been a baton that was passed off, and that baton should have been passed off to where we now move from fighting for my humanity and being free, but also become spiritually free as well. And so walking in that revelation is the thing that helps me, because I can't give what I don't have.
Exactly right, and that's your reality.
Yeah, and so the reality of what Christ has done for me and what the Lord has done in my life is my narrator. So I don't have a different narrative. I don't have the narrative of what my ancestors have went through. They went through what they went through for the fact that I can actually become who I am today. So I'm grateful for what my ancestors was able to accomplish, but that doesn't mean I stop there. That means I actually have a responsibility.
Exactly right.
And that's where I live from. I live from the reality that I have a responsibility of walking in what was obtained for me. And so I was first obtained freedom through Christ and Him saving me. So Christ comes before my culture.
I like that. Of course, I like that.
Very wise. Very wise.
So what's your thoughts on that, Adam?
I mean, I completely understand what you're saying, and I love it. I mean, truly, because that's the embodiment of freedom in itself. I mean, it truly is, and we should really be embracing that more. And being spiritual in nowadays society, I mean, it's suppressed, you know? And it's like people, I'm just going to say people like us, I mean, we're out here putting love on people, and just because that's really all we're here to do.
Yeah.
We're trying to embody love and embody Christ, because embodying Christ in itself is love.
Yeah, I think the biggest point that I've really been stressing lately is the fact is that I'm better with you than without you.
And that's
exactly
fact.
right.
You make me better, and then vice versa, I make you better.
Exactly.
But that can only come when I've accepted who I am.
That's exactly correct.
When you truly know yourself, when one truly knows oneself, he can do anything.
Absolutely.
She can do anything.
Absolutely. John Maxwell said something this morning on his 1 minute point that he was making this morning. He was talking about forgiveness. And it was pretty amazing, because this is what one of the things that I pulled out from what he said was, it says, there is no freedom in life, no personal liberty, unless you know how to forgive and the responsibility of forgiving others.
And forgiveness is a big thing.
Absolutely.
You know, because I try, to be loving and forgiving, but occasionally there comes up something, that's like, have I really, still have these feelings. I say I forgive you, but I'm not really acting as if I have forgiven.
That has to do with trust. You have to trust
some
to forgive. If
situations.
you trust the Father, you will forgive.
Well, that's forgiveness comes with faith. You only can forgive by faith.
Yeah, and God has forgiven us.
Exactly.
I'm going to share something profound. Years and years ago, when my boys were in Lexi, were middle schoolers, I was having a rough day and a rough night. These two were brawling, playing, but also it becomes, and I went outside because I was like, I'm about to lose it. I was like, stop. I walked out onto the porch and I was angry, and I was like, I just want to calm down. And then I was like, what was it? I feel like, honestly, one of those times that I felt like God spoke to me, and because I was like, God, what do you want me to do? And I swear, from that place of frustration, I really instantly got peace.
Wow.
To the point that it made me tears come down my eyes. And I heard, how you hear God, and you do. I heard it just as clear as anything. And I said out loud to him, it's like you gave me another chance. And he said, now will you give me one? And that was huge, because I wasn't focusing on God at that moment. I was focusing on, you guys stop fighting, and Lexi, do your homework, and all that. And it was just us four, and there was chaos, and then there was peace. And then I could come back in and take it from a different perspective.
Well, our God is, believe it or not, our God is a jealous God. He wants us all the time. And even in that point where you were so low, and then you come out to him like that, he's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
That's what the Father does.
I like that. We're so blessed and we're so lucky. And we get caught up in the little details all too often, don't we?
Yeah.
Of life. We let the little things become big and don't look at the big sometimes.
Yeah.
Anybody have any parting thoughts? Because we are about to go into commercial break.
I just love it. I mean, I love being able to come on here and even share these experiences, because, there's a lot of people who've been through a lot of things like this. And you know what? This is empowering to people. Even coming up and saying it is just awesome, because we're sitting here, I guess, on TV, just being open about this stuff. And I think that's a big deal.
And I believe that's so important that we recognize the people that are in our lives.
Oh, exactly.
Because the fact is that we need each other. And to accomplish what we're going to have to accomplish and need, there is a must that we accept one
Teamwork.
another.
That's the bottom line.
Teamwork.
I love it. And I love our teamwork today and our points of view. Y'all keep with us. We'll be right back in a minute.
Oh, the joy and happiness that comes with buying a new home. But there's so much to do already. Go to Georgia811.com. Always go to Georgia811.com or call 811 before you dig. It's not only the smart and safe thing to do, it's the law. Georgia811.com.
Welcome back to Point of View. I'm your host, Connie Hall Scott. I am joined by Adam Scott, Aaron Scott, and Mario Miller.
Thank
We were talking about some heavy stuff before we went to break. We'll pick right up where we left off, Mario.
Well, I was making a comment off air here, but I was saying I think it's very important for us to recognize how important that we are to one another. And when we're comfortable with that and we're good with ourselves, and that's what I've begun to learn, is I can't give what I don't have. So when we're out in our life doing what we're asked to do, that's all we can do. So many times we're looking at what other people are not doing. And the challenge is just, can I just be what I'm supposed to be? And we need to toe the line to that. Because it's so important. Everybody's looking at, well, he's not doing that and she's not doing that and so forth is doing this. And the challenge is just be what you're supposed to be and trust the process of that.
Yeah.
Trust that.
Yeah, you have to trust it, because you have to trust yourself in order to move forward with yourself. And a lot of us get caught up in the angst in our head, basically, and we are distracted by what everyone else is doing instead of working on ourselves, because truly working on ourselves is the way that we can benefit the most people.
I remember a statement once, and she was saying how the Father had spoke to her, and sure, the Holy Spirit had ministered to my heart one day, and I remember in my yard, and I was just standing out in my yard, and a question was asked. He asked me a question, and it was, is why do you see bad in people? And boy, and I'm like, whoa. He said, hold up. I ain't gonna let you strain your brain. I'll help you out.
Let me fix you.
And I was like, thank you, I appreciate it. No, but he said, the reason why you see bad in others is because you see bad in yourself.
And I believe that is so deep and true.
And he said, then when you start seeing good in yourself, which is the God in you, then you'll start seeing good in the God in others. And I was like, wow, and it was profound for me, because it really brought me to some deep thinking, to where I've looked at people in the wrong context based upon what was wrong with me, not really what was wrong with them.
It's like, and it's crazy. Yeah, it's like we really are very selfish. It's just how we're wired. I mean, that's just the truth. And a lot of times we put our burdens on others, even without meaning to.
That's good.
I mean, energy is real. I mean, we were brought here to spread good energy and spread good love. And when you're down on yourself all the time, of course you're going to see bad in others, because you're wiring your brain to think bad thoughts.
Absolutely.
And our thoughts are power. What you're saying.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
And that's I have that.
Very, very true. Yesterday morning, Lexi gave me some news and on the phone, and I walked in the living room where Steve was reading the newspaper, and I was like, I'm very angry right now. And he was like, and I was like, why are you looking at me like that? And he goes, I don't know, I think it's default. You said you're angry. And I'm like, I'm not angry at you.
That's good.
This is what happened. And I told him all about it, and he was like, and I was like, should I call this person? And he was like, no. And I said, really? And he was like, no. And I said, okay, wait a minute. The way I'm feeling right now is not really about what happened. It's about me getting angry over something that I didn't really have to get angry over. And I was like, oh, okay.
And that's what I explained to you over the phone.
And
yeah, we had that conversation too.
And it's good to have those conversations. And I think we don't do enough of that.
We don't.
Which is thinking.
Thinking is so. You know the funny thing about that.
It's a big thing.
So, no, it really is. It sounds crazy. I watched a 44-minute video last night. It's London Real. I don't know if you guys are familiar with London Real or not, but it was a 44-minute video on thinking, and it was 10 ways to improve your thinking. And it was just the things this guy was going through. This doctor, this brain scientist or brain doctor. He was killing it. I mean, everything he said was like an enlightenment point for me, and just it truly inspired me. Just sitting there 44 minutes watching YouTube. Basically, he was just saying that a lot of us don't think for ourselves. We don't, because we're so caught up in everything that's going on around us.
And that's right, because there is what happens is we don't challenge the narrator of the story that we have. We don't factor in who is the narrator of this narrative that I'm actually responding to. We don't factor in that,
because it's our own. And when we come to the point and finally realize that, we are pretty much narrating our own lives and narrating our own thoughts. We're going to become a lot more powerful as people in general.
I think when we focus on who is our narrator? In this context, for me, it's Christ being my narrator.
Mm-hmm.
So if Christ is my narrator, then I can forgive others. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
So I can be, so when Jesus was on the cross, and all the people that hurt him and did all those bad things to him, and he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. If he did that, don't we have the same responsibility to do that for
On a
others as
scale
well?
that's nowhere near as serious, yes. That's insane. I mean, we look at this guy, I mean, this insane God, you know, and we try to level with that. And it's like even going through our daily lives, somebody cuts us off in traffic and, you know, we get right to it. And it's like,
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Yeah, I mean, we all are, yeah. But it's like, it's crazy to think about. It's like
I know what your trigger is now.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't jump in front of me. I will lay on the horn. No, I'm just
Yeah, right. But it boils down to, for me, I'm not gonna. Well, it is humility.
Yeah.
It's a lot of humility, and we as people, as all of us, really. I mean, you can never practice humility enough, but we need to more.
But I think we're fixing people, trying to fix others so much instead of allowing ourselves to be transformed into the reality of what we are.
And Aaron,
perfectly.
Aaron does a quote sometimes when I say something to him he doesn't like, and it drives me nuts. But he'll say, "Take that log out of your own eye."
Good word. Good word.
That's me all the time.
That's like from mom.
Mom let you get away with that? My mom wouldn't.
No.
Over the phone.
He's in a safe distance.
Safe distance.
I love it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, seriously, you know, but the gist of it all is really that, you know, teamwork is great, and that's really what's going to make us move forward. But if we're not working on ourselves, then our teamwork's not going to be valuable at all because we don't have anything to bring to the table.
That's it.
There is not an I in team, but there is a ME.
Oh, I'll read a quote real fast. If I can find it, I'll pull out my phone.
We got 30 seconds, right?
Oh, you think I'm slow, huh?
No. We'll find out.
Pressure.
Now we got 30 seconds. Paraphrase
Well, I'm
it.
coming to it. No. I want to quote it word for word.
Okay.
When I's are placed with we, even illness becomes wellness.
Wow.
Ooh, that was worth the wait.
And that's a
Malcolm
fact.
X.
Yes.
Awesome.
And that's
awesome.
a fact. Yeah, I posted that on my Instagram story yesterday. I saw it and I ran across it. It's funny that we're here now after posting that yesterday because it's like we're all banding together and we're getting it. We're finally getting it right.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Oh, we got 2 seconds. Thanks for coming. Will you come back sometime?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And y'all have a wonderful day.